Hi, folks. Sometimes I use Quora questions as a jump-off point for one of these short presentations. And in this case, the question was, have there been any battles where they were three-way? Now, the questioner said battles, although a few of the people who answered took wars. My answer was specifically about battles. Now, the answer to me is that generally, regardless of how much antagonism there is, how much opposition in a war, things quickly settle into two sides. And a good example is World War II, where the British and the Americans were allied with the Soviets, even though before the war they were enemies. It was a case of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and the enemy for both of them was Germany, Italy, not Japan. Notice the Russians didn't declare war on Japan until the very end of the war. But Germany was regarded as the major threat and not Japan, and that was the truth. So there was no three-way battle because they sorted themselves out into sides. Now, I thought of one particular battle that wasn't exactly three-way, but there were three parties. And that was the battle in 1485, in which Richard, King of England, was killed and Henry Tudor became Henry VII. The Tudors marched up to where the Yorkists were, and they prepared to have a battle. And yet Thomas Lord Stanley and Sir William Stanley turned up with a very substantial force, probably as large as the Tudors, and sat on a hill and waited to see how things were going before they joined the battle. And the battle proceeded in rather confused circumstances. And finally, the Stanleys joined on the side of the Tudors, and that made the difference. And the Tudors won the battle, and Henry VII became Henry VII. Now, another answerer referred to a case in Jerusalem where there were three different factions on the Israeli side, and they were fighting each other even as the Romans were approaching to put down the rebellion. Another case, which is more, again, a war, not a battle, we had the communists in China, we had the nationalists in China, and we had the Japanese. And for a time, they were fighting each other all around, but finally the communists and the nationalists made more or less a truce to defeat the Japanese, and then once the Japanese were defeated, they fought each other for 4 years. There may be other occasions where there were three parties involved, but I don't know of a situation that's even as close as the one with the Stanleys, the Tudors, and the Yorkists. Certainly not a case where there were three sides fighting each other simultaneously, so each side fought two other sides. It just doesn't work out that way. It can work out that way in games, but generally not in the real world. Thanks for listening.